Ching, 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 ching. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Pre-Market Show. This is episode 86. It is Thursday, the 19th of February, 2026, and we are looking at a very interesting market today. We have a lot of news out of the Middle East. We have the Fed minutes to kind of go through with you. And we also have some data that has recently dropped. Looks like it's causing gold to move a little bit lower. Bitcoin's near the lows here, as well as S&P and the nasty NASDAQ, all hovering near the lows of the day. So my name's Mandela, and we do these shows each and every Thursday and Friday. We are also very, very privileged to be able to offer you all a $5,000 account. I guess only one of you can receive it, but we are going to be offering a $5,000 account. In order to enter to win the prize giveaway, you have to go into the live chat and you got to enter with your information on the form, and one lucky winner will be selected and will receive a $5,000 account. So just want to say a few thanks going out to everybody who is watching us today. We do these live, so if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, tickers, any breaking news that we've missed, please just let us know and we will be happy to cover that. Let's get over to the show. All right, we are moving and grooving. Yesterday, we had a very successful live trading session, so thank you to everybody who did join that. So we will be doing those each and every week, where we're going to be trading the S&P 500. We had a nice trade in the first 30 minutes of the day yesterday. So thanks again to everybody who was able to join there. Looks like we have initial claims. Thank you very much, James. James over there at Macro Markets Group always has his fingers on the pulse. Thank you very much, James. I'm actually looking at it right now to see. There we go. Oh, you have it. You have everything there. So initial claims were 206,000. Expected was 225,000. Continuing jobless claims were 1,869K. Expected was 1,860. So just on the face of it, looks like we had less initial claims and more continuing claims. Anybody interested in more information about Macro Markets Group, please make sure to check them out on all your socials, Instagram. They also have a phenomenal WhatsApp community as well. And I'm going to be speaking at an event taking place in a few months' time. So if you want more information about that, you feel free to reach out to myself or reach out to Macro Markets Group, Joseph and James holding down the fort over there. So lots to cover, lots to talk about today. We have let's put this up here. So jobless claims is one that I think markets tend to react to, not so much recently. Over the last I guess the last few weeks, we've had a little bit of a muted reaction. But having said that, you never know. You never really know. There's always going to be a catalyst around the corner. So this is what we just received here. So unemployment claims were 206K versus 223. So that's better than expected. Unemployment. We also have Fed member Bowman speaking. And we had trade balance as well out of the US here. So interesting day that we're getting into. We're going to cover some of the catalysts that we're going to be looking at a little bit later on. One of the headlines which was brought to my attention by James during the live trading session yesterday was the escalation in the Middle East. And I think we can probably start off with that. The escalation in the Middle East, I think, is always one that I think can heat up. There are a few things that tend to happen. One thing that tends to happen is we don't get any sort of major escalation until the weekend. So we can see U.S. troops or the U.S. calling for its citizens to leave the region. There was some from reports yesterday about U.S. resources leaving Syria. But I think this is all building up to what usually I call as the weekend event. The weekend event is usually where the markets are closed, and it provides an opportunity then for the markets to digest whatever's happened, whether it's bad news about a company, whether it's a policy where Trump announced that he wants to take Greenland on a weekend after markets closed. So there is, I mean, over time you can kind of see these patterns unfold, and basically you can basically see it for yourself. But in my experience, doing this for more than 20 years, there is a highly likelihood that nothing actually happens until Friday, New York close. And I mean, that may sound a bit, selfish or a bit sinister. The show that we're doing today is focused on financial markets, and that's our perspective for today. So I'm putting aside, the political, the humanitarian perspective, and I'm focusing purely on markets today, because that's what we're doing. This is pre-market preparation. I'm not saying that there's not going to be any escalations before Friday, but in my experience, it is usually the case, or highly probable, that any sort of initiation is made after New York markets close on a Friday. It happened where the U.S. dropped the bombs on Iran back in June, I believe it was. That was on a late Saturday night. Greenland, Trump saying he wants to take Greenland. That was a Friday, teased on a Friday night after markets closed, and then more aggressively announced on a Saturday. So it's this weekend thing that is definitely something to kind of be very aware of. Also, I think there's also some talk here about what's going to happen with oil, the Strait of Hormuz. I think these things are all moving fast, and we could see something that is kind of escalated over time, and we're just going to have to watch. I mean, we have been watching energy recently. I have a few charts here to kind of highlight what's been working, what's been moving the most in 2026. So if we go, let's go here, year to date. Okay, so just very, very quickly, energy's been the best performer since Jan 1, 2026, and that's just a fact. And I think this continues as long as we're having this uncertainty over in the Middle East. That's followed closely by basic materials, up both close to 20% since the start of the year. Industrials also doing well, consumer defensive doing well, utilities doing well. Now, what hasn't been doing well? That's I think the bigger question here, and that would be our technology here. So in here would be the Mag 7, down on the year, down more than 1.5, 1.6%. Consumer cyclicals also down, and communication services down. Interesting also to have the financials down as well for the year. So I've been talking about this for the last few weeks, and I think the big question here is, does this continue? And if so, for how long? I mean, you can't argue that energy has been receiving fund flows. It performed terribly, one of the worst performers last year. But this year, it is waking up, and our job as portfolio managers and as risk managers is to grow our portfolios. So we want to know where are the funds flowing, where's the money really going. So we have another chart which I think is helpful as well. This is a futures chart focusing on what's moving and grooving from a futures perspective. So gold doing well. This is year to date, up 14%. Then we compare that to the nasty NASDAQ. It's really been underperforming. So if you think of it like almost like the liquidity is like the ocean or water. The flows are moving out of NASDAQ, out of tech, out of crypto, and into things like gold. We see the small caps also doing well. So the Russell 2000s doing well, quite strong. Energy here, which we spoke about. So crude oil, Brent's up, heating oil's up. And then I guess currencies as well. This is one that we really like. They had the snap elections recently. Yen's doing well. Aussie's actually outperforming along with the New Zealand dollar. Bitcoin here, 24%. Now, I guess what a lot of people will think is, okay, well, I want to buy the laggard. I want to buy the one that's cheap right now. And the problem with that is what happens if, we're only 1.5 months into the year. What happens if this trend continues for another month, another 2 months, another 3 months, another 4 months? Are you prepared for that? And I think that is the key. Also, can't forget silver here. Silver's also doing well. And these are all year to date. So from Jan 1, where have funds been flowing? Also interesting to see Nikkei. That's over in Japan post-election. So the Nikkei is up 12%. The NASDAQ's down 2%. So these are the things that we watch very closely. We like to kind of keep our fingers on the pulse when it comes to fund flows and where do we want to position ourselves. Interesting, yesterday we also got the Federal Reserve's minutes. So nothing too surprising. However, there were some sort of hints that there is a need to consider increasing the interest rates going forward. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We do look at the federal funds rate, and we do know that is highly connected to risk assets and also to investment portfolios and investment outlooks. I think the main sort of surprise was the mention of potentially hiking rates. And this is one of the first times that we've seen that sort of language. But we also have to keep in mind that the current chair, Powell, will be making his exit in 2 more meetings. So I think that is also a wild card when we have a new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, who's going to be stepping up to the plate, change of guard. It's definitely something that we are keeping our eyes on very closely. Just mentioning it because we got the Fed minutes yesterday at 2 p.m. Eastern and took the market a little bit of a time to digest. We did get a move lower after the Fed minutes were released in NASDAQ and S&P 500 yesterday. So there's just something to consider. Another thing that we wanted to touch on is the 13 Fs. So the 13 Fs, basically, they come out every quarter. And what they do is they provide you with the holdings for hedge funds and for, basically fund managers. So they're required to report their holdings at the end of every quarter. So the 13 Fs provide us with just a little bit of an insight into what are they buying, what are they selling, and it goes back to this, what's happening underneath the surface. It's fine to just look strictly at charts, and I know a lot of people who are very good technically, but I think it also is helpful to kind of see what themes are these multi-billion-dollar hedge funds moving towards, and in the same vein, what are they moving away from? And that gives us a clue into what could happen in the future. So the 13F is reported, it's required by the SEC, and any investment managers who are managing more than $100 million are required to file on a quarterly basis. It has to be filed within 45 days of the previous quarter. So that's why we're just getting all of the 13Fs now. So yeah, if we can have a look at some of them. Here we go. So I have the ones that I like to follow, basically. So this is Stanley Druckenmiller. So this is his 13F, and it's basically providing us with a look into what he's buying and what he's selling. So what did he add? So he bought XLF, which is the financials sector. He bought RSP, which is the S&P equal weight. So looking at potentially seeing the equal weight outperforming the market cap weighted, which is interesting. We have Brazil. So purchased some call options on Brazil, and looks like he purchased some outright ETF shares of EWZ on Brazil, and then also bought some Google. Down the middle here is what they've sold. So he sold these. Looks like he's cashed in some Taiwan Semiconductor along with these other ones here. And then these are the summary. So the biggest holdings. Looks like financials is close to 7%, and NTRA is almost 13%. Let's go to the next one here. This is Berkshire Hathaway. Everybody knows Warren Buffett. So this is Warren Buffett's portfolio. And what we're looking for mainly is what were the top buys for the last quarter? What were the top sells? So what are they getting rid of? Interesting that he was selling some of his Apple here and also selling Amazon. But it's still, Apple's still one of his largest holdings. So probably just doing some trimming or some profit taking. Something, I guess, interesting to note here is that they don't report short positions as part of this SEC filing. And there is a slight lag. So these were as of 45 days ago. So as of the end of Q4 2025. This last one is George Soros Capital Management. So he's picking up Google, Broadcom, and then he's getting rid of or selling some South Korea, Nvidia, and Baba. So adding to his Google and Broadcom positions. So I think it's just good to know, really. And it helps you to kind of forecast or prepare for the next few months. Now, mind you, like we said, it is 45 days old. So we have to kind of factor that into our analysis. But if we see a theme across the funds or the fund managers that we respect and we know have been successful, for example, Stanley Druckenmiller has not had a losing year in his entire tenure. So you can look at these fund managers and you don't have to copy them, but you can see themes like, okay, are they starting to sell some of their AI names? Are they starting to sell some of their Mag 7? Are they looking to buy energy? We see energy's doing well this year. Are they buying energy names? Are they buying materials? Are they buying, small caps? What are they buying that they see as where the ball is going, where the funds are going to be going in the next 3 to 6 months? Okay, let's have a look at the charts one more time. We have a few questions, so we'll get over to the questions in a second. Hello, hi there to Khaled. Welcome to the office. Make sure you check in and you make sure to pick up your coffee and your croissant or your croissant on your way to your office. Cash is also in the place to be. Welcome, Akash. Mir Sabir saying hello to you, Mir Sabir, and Waris Amadi. Welcome, very, very welcome to you to the office. Just a reminder, if you haven't done so already, we are giving away a $5,000 account courtesy of our friends over at City Traders Imperium. So click on the link in the live chat, then you can fill out the form and you will be entered to win for the prize giveaway. All right, chatting charts. This segment is called Chatting Charts. So we have an S&P here. It's just been sitting around doing not much. I mean, if we look at the last few days, it's definitely stuck in a range. And this is, I think, partly because, as we spoke about at the top of the show, we're seeing what is the Mag 7 is 1/3 of the market cap weighting of the S&P. It's 2/3 of the NASDAQ. And if you see the Mag 7 underperforming, that is going to be like trying to drive your speedboat this way and you have an anchor. 1/3 of your power is actually negative. And that's, I think, why we're getting these moves. So whether you trade NASDAQ or you trade S&P, you'll see something similar as we zoom out. This is going back to the start of the year. And it's just, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's not moving. And I had a call yesterday with a very good friend. And we were talking about, like, eventually this is going to end. But in the meantime, you know, we just have to kind of sit tight. And I mentioned this yesterday during the live trading session. The edge is in the waiting, being able to wait for your setup, being able to say, no, I'm not taking a trade. And that's basically where we're at right now. We're kind of in this range. The top end is around 7,000 on the S&P. And the bottom end is around 6,750 or 6,800. I did read a report that said there are a lot of trend followers that are looking to get short below 6,800. So that's just a piece of information. If we do, I guess, remain or get back below 6,800, maybe that opens up some more downside. But I mean, in all kind of perspective and all due respect, here we go. Just looking at where we've come. And I know a lot of people like the 5-minute charts, the 1-minute charts, the 30-second charts, but this is a daily going all the way back to, there we go. So these were the lows back in April. This was the very first taco. Trump always chickens out. And since then, I mean, you can't really complain. And I think we sometimes need to just take a minute, step back, see what is happening, look at what is happening. Yes, there is some escalations in the Middle East that could pop off at any minute. I personally think it will happen on a weekend, may not be this weekend, but I think it will happen over a weekend. But there could be any amount of news that does come out over the next few hours or so that could spark things. I hope it doesn't, but it's possible. We also have a few other catalysts on the agenda. If we look at tomorrow, there are a few catalysts that could impact this breakout. So we see the range. NASDAQ's in it, Russell's in it, Dow's in it. Probably some of your favorite stocks are in this sort of consolidation period. And we all see it. One thing that I think could kind of give us a little bit of a boost in a way is tomorrow's data. So this is 1 hour before markets open. We'll get GDP, which is a pretty big one, PCE as well. And we also get here, PMIs. So this would be 15 minutes after the market opens. So that's kind of our outlook. Also, can't forget our favorite consumer sentiment. So a bit of a slew of data coming out tomorrow. And what usually happens is you get the consolidation, which we've seen pretty much since January. And then you have to get that spark. You have to get that match that lights and ignites the next leg. So also good to mention now at this point is that the Supreme Court will be potentially announcing their decision on whether Trump has the authority to initiate and impose tariffs. So that's going to happen tomorrow at around, I think within 1 hour of the market opening tomorrow. Now, this is not the first time I started calling it the Supreme Court that cried wolf. Let me see here. I'm going to let's switch this up a bit. All right. So, so tomorrow, be aware that the Supreme Court could come out with their decision. I guess it's good to mention that there were 3 other instances where they could have, and they didn't include that decision. It was Friday, the 9th of January, Wednesday, the 14th of January, and Friday, the 23rd of January. In all 3 times, there was no mention, or the decision on tariffs were not included. But hey, maybe tomorrow's the day. I feel like a lot of people are not expecting it tomorrow. And in a very sort of weird way, the market reacts when the least amount of people are expecting something. So if nobody's really talking about it, that's usually when it happens. So keep that on the radar. We also have options expiration tomorrow. So what's options expiration? That's when monthly options for February will expire. It's always the 3rd Friday of the month. And tomorrow is options expiration. So usually that can lead to a bit of up and down choppiness, I call it, but volatility in markets where options traders, market makers are trying to exit positions in advance of the close tomorrow. So be aware of that. And then next week, Tuesday, we will get the State of the Union address. Now, the interesting thing about the State of the Union address is it's coming at a time when, number one, the Supreme Court could make their decision tomorrow, and Trump will have an opportunity to respond about how he feels and thinks about the Supreme Court decision on Tuesday. So I'm not saying that's going to be a huge factor in the Supreme Court announcing their ruling on tariffs tomorrow, but just keep in mind that we have the State of the Union on Tuesday. Also, any invasion or any escalation in Iran may be, I think, impacted by the State of the Union address. And that's taking place Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Saying that to say it may be part of Trump's strategy to possibly wait until after the State of the Union address before he starts escalating in Iran. And it may be part of the Supreme Court's strategy to wait to give their decision on tariffs until after the State of the Union. So just a few things that are kind of moving targets, possible catalysts that we are looking at in the next few days. And until then, we're just in the range, right? So we're trading, what we know, we're trading the strategy just like we did yesterday. But as long as we kind of stay in this sort of this tight range, we're less likely to kind of go really aggressive. And so today, I think the idea for today is to let the trade come to you and to keep it simple. And just keep it, I like to say, keep it light and keep it tight. That's the game plan for today. All right, so it's time now. Looks like we have a message here from Ajman Rohan. Hi to you. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let us know if you are doing any trades today, anything that you're watching. Please let us know, and we'll be happy to kind of touch on that as we prepare to start trading the New York Open. Not much happening. This is post that jobs data, so we got almost like a look below and fail here in gold. Gold's heading back. I think this 5,000 the ounce on gold is going to be key today going into the weekend. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. Remember the catalyst that we have set out over the next sort of 5-6 days. Any one of those can really ignite something like gold. Bitcoin's not looking too great this morning. Still struggling to stay above 66,000. And as long as it's not trading great, I'm not really going to be trading it. Once it starts to look like it's starting to outperform, that's when we start looking at it. Okay, so strikes are coming. Let's see here. UK blocking Trump from using bases for strikes on Iran. Okay, so strikes are coming. So this is breaking news from Degaris Capital. A good friend of mine, James Degaris. He was actually on the show about 3 or 4 shows back, and he is Macro Markets Group along with Joseph. So if you want to get up to the minute updates, reach out to them. And we're actually partnering to do a 1-day only event, in-person event with like-minded traders in the City of London. So if you'd like more information about that, let us know. But yeah, thank you, James. I'm following it as it comes. Trying to keep my finger on the pulse. You always have multiple news sources open, and you're always right on time. So thank you very much for that. So we could do a breaking news. That's a breaking news. Just to cover up here, let's see. Yeah, so if UK blocking strikes, it means they're planning them. Yep, absolutely. I think this is definitely a moving target, and we are going to be, I think, focus in on this in the next 48 hours. And yeah, like you said, it looks like everything is lining up for strikes to be imminent. So thank you very much, James, for posting and for giving us that information. Now is time for the prize giveaway. So thank you everybody who has entered. We're going to give away a prize for $5,000 account. And let's see. Okay. So thank you everybody who did enter. All right. So I'm just going to put in here everybody's name. Perfecto. All right. And let's do the drum roll, please. All right. And the winner of the $5,000 City Traders Imperium account is Rohan. Well done, Rohan. Congratulations on winning your account. Please post in your social media that you've won the account, and you will receive the account credentials courtesy of City Traders Imperium. Well done. Very well done. All right, so that's it from me for today. Just saying a special shout out to everybody who has watched. We have Khalid, Akash, Mir Sabir, Waris, and looks like Mir Sabir saying going to short gold from 502 and going to short from 502. Okay, I make a trade on gold from, so Mir Sabir looks like he went long gold, and now he's going short gold. And also thanks again to everybody else who has watched. We have Rohan, who won the prize giveaway, so congratulations for that. And also special thank you to James Degaris for keeping us up to the time. And we'll get you back on the show very, very soon, my friend. I'm looking forward to doing that event in London. Anybody interested, like I said, in the tickets, we'll put the tickets in the description to this video. But it's going to be a wonderful day in the city. Beautiful hotel booked. This has all been organized and taken care of, and it's not the first time that Macro Markets Group have done something like this. So if you're curious, you want some more information, and also just want to meet up with some other traders, feel free to reach out to myself and or Macro Markets Group for more info. Thank you very much, everybody. Last things last, we talked a bit about, I just wanted to quickly mention S&P. So S&P, fun little fact, it's been up for 3 days in a row. It's up about 0.71% over those 3 days. Can it make it a fourth up day? Let's see. You know, times are pretty tough when you're up 0.7% and you're celebrating 3 up days in a row. But yeah. So James is saying congratulations to Rohan, and also Defo coming back. Yeah, absolutely. We'll bring you back on. You always, I feel like you're my source. You're like my live squawk. You're always on it. So thanks again. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back here again tomorrow to do it all again. Same time, same place. So until next time, be safe today. Remember what we talked about, the catalysts, and remember what we talked about. Just keep it light and tight today. No need to be a hero. No need to break any records. Until next time, everybody, happy trading.